The night was silent except for the wind. Snow was falling heavy on the broken land. The mountains stood tall like dark giants, and the valley was full of white death. No fire burned, no home stood, no voices lived there anymore. Beside a broken stone wall, a young alien mother sat. Her skin was pale, her lips were blue, her clothes were torn, her arms were wrapped around a small baby, only a few days old. The child cried weakly, his body shaking, his tiny chest rising and falling with pain. The mother rocked him slowly, whispering words in a soft lullaby. Her voice was weak but still warm. She sang of a place where the snow never touched. She sang of a place where light was gentle and safe. The baby's cries softened, his eyes closing halfway, but the cold was too strong. The night too cruel. The woman pressed her cheek to her child's forehead. Tears ran down her face and froze on her skin. She knew she could not last long. Her people were gone. Their village burned. The hunters would return. She whispered, "Sleep, little one. Sleep, even if I cannot." The snow fell harder, covering her shoulders. Her fingers were numb, her arms heavy. Still she did not stop holding him close. Still she did not stop singing the lullaby. The wind howled across the valley. It carried with it the sound of broken wood, of ruined homes. But hidden inside that storm, another sound began, a sound she almost thought was her own heart. It was the sound of footsteps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Slow, heavy steps pressing down into the snow. The mother froze. Her song stopped, her breath caught, her eyes lifted, her body trembling. Not from cold alone. She thought of the enemy, the soldiers who killed her family. She thought of their black armor and their red eyes. If they found her child, he would be taken. He would never live free. The baby stirred, crying louder. She pressed her hand gentless over his mouth, begging him to be silent. Her own breath was fast, shallow, painful. The sound of the steps grew closer, each one louder than the last. She could hear the crunch of snow breaking under a heavy weight. She could hear the slow rhythm of someone moving closer and closer. Her mind raced. Should she run? Should she stay? Should she fight? She was too weak to stand, too weak to protect, but she would rather die than give her baby away. Her arms tightened around him, her body curling like a shield. The shadow appeared through the snow, tall, broad, wrapped in heavy clothing. The figure stopped a short distance away. For a moment, the mother did not breathe. The stranger's face was hidden under a hood of frost. But she saw something strange, something not like her people. His hands were not alien hands. His shape was not alien shape. This was a human. She had heard stories of humans. Some said they were dangerous. Others said they were stubborn and strange. Her people did not trust them, but they also did not hate them. Now in the middle of the frozen night, a human was standing in front of her. He looked down at her, his eyes sharp but filled with surprise. He saw the mother, he saw the baby, he saw the broken wall, and for a long moment, he did not move. The baby cried again, the sound carried in the empty valley like a bell. The mother begged in a whisper, "Please, please, do not hurt him." Her voice cracked, her lips trembling. The human's breath showed in the cold air, slow and steady. He reached into his coat. The mother's heart jumped in fear. Was he reaching for a weapon? Was this the end? But instead of steel, he pulled out a thick cloth, a jacket torn but warm. Slowly, carefully, he bent down. He wrapped the cloth around the baby. The mother stared, not trusting her eyes. The child stopped crying, feeling the warmth. The mother gasped, a tear. Falling again, she did not know why this human would help, but for the first time that night, she felt a spark of hope. Still, the sound of the storm reminded her. Still, the danger was near. Enemy patrols were out there searching, their torches glowing red in the distance. The human lifted his head, hearing them too. He looked at her with a question in his eyes. Would she trust him? Would she follow him? Or would she stay and freeze in the snow? The mother looked at her child, the baby's face soft now, wrapped in the strange cloth. Her heart answered before her mouth could. She nodded once, slowly, with fear and with hope. The human stood tall again. He looked into the storm, his face hard like stone. The enemy was close, the night was long, but the story of survival was only beginning. And so the mother held her child, and the human soldier stood before them, snow falling, footsteps echoing, shadows moving closer. The lullaby still lingered in the cold air, and the sound of more footsteps began to rise. The storm screamed over the valley. Snow whipped against the broken stones and buried the tracks of the enemy. The young alien mother held her baby close, the cloth from the stranger warming him. Her heart still pounded with fear, but also with confusion. Why would a human help when all others had only brought death? The man stood tall in front of her, his back to the wind. He wore no shining armor, no enemy mark, only worn clothes and a heavy pack. His eyes were sharp, his face covered with frost and shadow. He looked at her, then at the baby, then at the dark horizon. It was as if he weighed his choices in silence. The mother whispered, "Who are you?" Her voice was weak, half lost in the storm. The man did not answer at once. Instead, he crouched down, his knees sinking into the snow. He studied the child wrapped in his jacket. His breath made small clouds in the cold air. Finally, he spoke, his voice rough but calm. "I am lost here. My team is gone. Only I remain." The words were simple, but heavy with pain. The mother felt his loneliness, the way he said it without hope. Still, she asked again, "Why help us?" The man's eyes narrowed. He looked at the baby, so small, so fragile. Then he said, "Because he is innocent, and because no one should die alone in the snow." The words cut into her heart like fire. For the first time since the attack on her village, she felt someone understood, but there was no time for trust. The enemy was near, their lights glowing red through the storm. Shadows moved in the distance, hunting, searching. The mother trembled, her arms tight around her child. She whispered, "They are coming. They will find us." The human looked into the white night. He listened to the crunch of boots far away. Then he reached out his hand, strong and steady. "Come with me if you want the child to live," he said. For a moment, she hesitated. Could she trust him? Could she walk with a stranger from another world? But the cry of her baby gave the answer. She placed her hand in his, cold and shaking. The man pulled her gently to her feet. Her legs were weak, but he supported her. He led her into the storm, moving quickly but carefully. The snow swallowed their shapes as they walked. Behind them, the enemy patrol grew closer. The baby cried again, his small voice carried in the wind. The mother panicked, trying to hush him with her lullaby. But the sound was too loud, too sharp. The man looked back with hard eyes. "They will hear. We must move faster." He took the baby into his arms without asking. For a moment, the mother gasped, fear rising again. But the way he held the child, careful and strong, told her he meant no harm. He wrapped the cloth tighter, pressing the baby against his chest. His body heat flowed into the child, keeping him alive. The mother walked close beside them, her trust slowly growing. The storm grew stronger, snow striking like needles. The man's boots crunched deep into the frozen ground. The mother stumbled often, her feet bare and bleeding. Still she followed, because she had no other choice. The lights of the enemy patrol flickered behind them, red and cruel. Closer, always closer. Hours seemed to pass in only moments. The woman's body was weak, her mind heavy with fear and hope. The man never stopped, his breath steady, his steps strong. At last he guided her toward a dark opening in the rocks, an ice cave hidden from the valley. "Inside," he said, and she obeyed. The cave was cold but silent. Shadows danced on the frozen walls. The man placed the baby in her arms again. The child slept now, warm in the human's jacket. The mother wept quietly, whispering thanks in her own language. The man sat down against the wall, pulling off his gloves to rub warmth back into his fingers. For the first time, they both breathed without running, but peace did not last. From the mouth of the cave, a red glow flickered. The enemy had followed, their torches burning through the storm. The sound of voices carried inside, harsh and metallic. The mother gasped, holding her baby tight. The man's eyes turned sharp, his jaw set like iron. He pulled out a weapon, not shining, not perfect, but deadly. It was scarred and scratched like its owner. He whispered, "Stay behind me, no matter what." The footsteps entered the cave, echoing loud. The red light grew brighter, shadows stretching on the ice. The mother held her child close, heart racing. The man stood ready, body tense, weapon aimed. The storm outside roared, but inside the cave, silence fell heavy. Every breath, every heartbeat, every second stretched long. The hunters stepped closer, their armor glowing red in the dark, their eyes like fire, their voices low and cruel. The human did not move, waiting, wait that I. Ting. The mother closed her eyes and whispered the lullaby again. Her voice was trembling, broken, but still strong enough to carry love. The baby stirred, glowing faintly under the cloth. The man noticed, his eyes widening for just a moment. Something about this child was not normal. Something powerful slept inside him. But before he could speak, the enemy entered fully, their weapons raised, their shadows covering the walls. The cave was no longer safe. The battle for survival had begun. The cave shook with the sound of boots. Red light spread across the frozen walls, glowing like fire in the ice. The human raised his weapon. Steady hands, steady breath. The alien mother crouched low, her baby pressed tight to her chest. Her lullaby had ended. but the echo still lingered, soft and strange. The first soldier entered, eyes burning red under the mask. He lifted his weapon, searching. The human fired once, the sound crashing through the cave. The soldier fell, his armor sparking, his body heavy against the ground. The red glow of his torch rolled away, fading into the snow outside. More came, their steps hard, their voices sharp. The mother gasped, clutching her baby. The child began to cry, his sound small but piercing in the cold air. The human's eyes widened. The noise would bring them all. "Move," he whispered, his voice like stone. He pulled the mother by the arm, dragging her deeper through the cave. The icy floor cracked under their steps. Behind them, shouts rose, the enemy charging forward. The baby's cries echoed like a beacon, guiding the hunters closer. The mother tried to hush him, whispering the lullaby, but fear made her voice tremble. The tunnel opened on the other side, spilling them out into the storm. The night was a sea of white, the snow fierce and endless. The human led the way, carrying the baby in one arm, weapon in the other. The mother, tumbled behind, her breath shallow, her legs bleeding from the sharp ice. Still, she followed, because to stop was to die. The wind screamed louder than before. The sky flashed with lightning, blue fire splitting the darkness. Each step felt heavy, but the human never slowed. His face was grim, but his eyes burned with stubborn fire. The mother saw it, and for the first time she thought, maybe he could save them. Behind them, the enemy spread out, their red lights cutting through the storm. Voices shouted orders, weapons fired, blasts of heat melting snow into steam. The humans swerved left, then right, using the storm to hide their path. Still, the baby cried, louder, brighter, as if his tiny body carried something more than fear. The glow returned, faint, pulsing in rhythm with his cries. The mother saw it, her heart racing. She whispered, "No, not now, please not now." The human glanced at her, confusion flashing across his face. "What is happening?" he demanded. She shook her head. "I will explain, but not here." They reached a ridge, the ground steep and sharp. The human slid down first, holding the child close. Snow and ice broke under his boots, crashing down in waves. The mother followed, sliding on her knees, her hands scraped raw. At the bottom, they landed hard, but alive. The enemy lights reached the top of the ridge. Shadows stood against the storm, glowing like devils in the night. They began firing down, beams of red burning holes in the snow. The human dove behind a fallen tree, pulling the mother with him. Snow exploded around them, but the baby was shielded by his arms. The mother cried softly, rocking her child. The human clenched his teeth, his weapon nearly empty. "We cannot keep running," he said, his voice low. "They will not stop, not until the baby is theirs." The mother's eyes filled with tears. "He is not just a baby, he is—" But before she could finish, the enemy began to descend, their boots thundering, their lights flashing. The human growled, forcing his tired body to stand. "We move again," he said, pulling her into the storm. They left the broken tree behind, snow closing over their tracks. The chase stretched through the night. The blizzard hid them for moments, then revealed them again. Every time the mother thought they had escaped, red lights appeared once more. The baby's glow grew stronger, each cry carrying more light. The human noticed, but said nothing. Though his jaw tightened in thought, hours passed like endless minutes. The mother's legs shook, her vision blurred, but the human carried both her and the baby when she fell. His strength seemed endless, though his body was bleeding from hidden wounds. Each step was a battle, but he refused to stop. Finally, they reached another cave, smaller and darker than the first. Inside, the storm's roar was muted. The human lowered the mother gently to the ground. The baby still cried, light glowing from his small chest. The human stared at it, eyes wide, voice sharp. "What is he?" The mother trembled, her hands shaking. She whispered, "He is more than my child. He is hope for my people, and the reason the enemy hunts us." Her voice broke, but her eyes were steady. "He was born with power, a gift from the old songs, from the stars themselves." The human's heart pounded. He looked at the child, glowing faintly in the shadows. He remembered his own team, lost in battle, his own fight with hopelessness. Now before him was something impossible, something worth more than his own life. He clenched his fist, then spoke. "Then we do not run only to survive. We run so he can live." But the sound of boots returned, louder than before. The enemy had tracked them again, their voices echoing through the storm. The human lifted his weapon. The mother held her baby. Snowflakes drifted into the cave, carried by the wind of approaching death. The chase was not over. It had only just begun. The cave was dark, the air heavy with silence. The human soldier leaned against the frozen wall, his weapon gripped tight. The alien mother sat on the cold ground, holding her baby close. But the child was no longer quiet. His small chest glowed with a faint light, pulsing like a heartbeat. The glow spread across the cave, touching the ice and making it shimmer. The man's eyes narrowed, his breath heavy. "This is no ordinary child," he said slowly. The mother lowered her eyes, afraid. Her fingers shook as she stroked her baby's face. She whispered, "I tried to hide it. I tried to keep him secret. But now you see." The soldier stepped closer, the glow reflecting in his tired eyes. "What is he?" he asked again, voice sharper. The woman trembled, but answered, "He is my son. But he is also more than that. He carries the song of my people, the last gift of our ancestors." Her words echoed in the cold, sounding like both truth and prayer. The man frowned, not understanding. "The song of your people," he repeated, confused. The woman nodded slowly, tears shining on her cheeks. "When I sing the lullaby, it is not just a song. It awakens his light. It protects him. And one day, it will protect us all." The baby cooed softly, the glow calming but strange. The soldier's heart felt heavy. He remembered his fallen team, his lost mission. All he had left was survival. But now, standing here, he saw something bigger, something worth protecting, even if it meant his life. He clenched his jaw and said, "The enemy knows. That is why they hunt you." The mother nodded, her face pale. "They fear him. They fear what he can become. They want to take him, twist him, use him as a weapon." Her voice cracked, her arms tightening around the child. "I will die before I let them take him." Her words carried both fear and fire. The human knelt before her, his eyes steady. "Then you will not die. I alone. I swear," he said. For a moment, the cave felt warm despite the ice. The mother looked at him with wide eyes, unsure if she could believe, but his voice was firm, his promise strong. Before she could answer, the cave shook. The sound of heavy blasts echoed from outside. The enemy was near, their weapons tearing through the storm. Snow and ice rained from the roof of the cave. The mother gasped, holding the baby close. The human looked around, scanning for a way out. The cave wall cracked, a beam of red light breaking through. "They are here," he muttered, his grip tightening on the weapon. The mother sang again, her voice trembling but clear. The lullaby rose, soft but powerful, echoing through the ice. The baby's glow grew brighter. It spread across the cave, lines of light crawling over the frozen walls. The ice trembled, humming with strange energy. The soldier stared, his eyes wide. "What is happening?" he asked, almost in awe. The mother whispered between verses, "The song is old. It wakes the power hidden in him. It can shield us, but it drains him. It drains me." Her voice shook, but she did not stop. The glow grew stronger, wrapping around them like a soft shield. When the enemy soldiers entered, their weapons raised, they fired. The beams struck the glow, but instead of breaking it, they bent. The light curved like water, sliding off and vanishing into the ice. The soldiers shouted in confusion. The human wasted no time. He raised his weapon and fired back. One enemy fell, another stumbled, sparks bursting from their armor. But the glow began to fade. The mother's voice broke, her strength weakening. The baby whimpered, his light flickering. The soldier saw it, fear rushing into his chest. He shouted, "Stop! You will kill yourself!" The mother shook her head, still singing. "If I stop, he dies. If I stop, we are lost." Her eyes glowed faintly. Now, her body trembling, the soldier grabbed her shoulder, his voice fierce. "Then let me fight. Save your strength for him. Trust me." Her voice faltered, the glow dimming. At last, she fell silent, her breath shallow. The child whimpered softly but did not cry. The man stood tall in front of them, weapon ready. He looked at the enemies filling the cave. The fight was brutal, the storm outside howling with each blast. The human moved like steel, every shot precise, every strike fierce. He fought with the rage of loss and the strength of duty. The mother watched, clutching her baby, her heart torn between fear and hope. The glow of the child flickered with every heartbeat. At last, the cave collapsed with a roar. The ceiling cracked, ice crashing down in massive shards. The enemies shouted, trapped under the falling walls. The soldier grabbed the mother and child, pulling them through a narrow gap. They stumbled out into the storm once more, the cave ceiling behind them. Snow swirled around their bodies, covering the broken ground. The mother gasped, clutching the baby. The soldier stood with blood on his face, but his eyes still fierce. He whispered, Your secret is safe with me, but now we must run farther. They will not stop." The mother nodded, tears freezing on her cheeks. The storm carried them forward, the sound of enemy horns rising in the distance. The baby's glow dimmed but did not vanish. The soldier led the way, his promise burning like fire in the snow. The mother followed, her lullaby still trembling in her throat. And behind them, the hunters swore they would not rest until the child was theirs. The storm raged for hours, covering their path. The human soldier carried the baby close to his chest, the alien mother stumbling behind. Her legs shook, her face pale, but she refused to stop. Every step was pain, but every step was also hope, because the child still breathed and the human still walked beside her. At last the storm weakened. Through the white veil of snow, dark shapes appeared. The mother gasped, her heart breaking. It was her village, or what remained of it. Burned houses, shattered walls, black smoke frozen in the air. The soldier slowed, his eyes sharp. He looked at the ruins, then at the woman. She covered her mouth, choking back a sob. Her people were gone, their lives stolen, their homes destroyed. Only ashes and silence remained. They walked into the ruins, the snow crunching under their feet. The mother touched a broken toy, half buried in the ice. Her tears fell, freezing before they hit the ground. She whispered, "This was my home. This was where my child was born." Her voice shook with grief. The soldier placed a hand on her shoulder, silent. He did not speak, because there were no words strong enough, but his eyes told her he understood loss. They moved deeper into the ruins, searching for shelter. The wind moaned through broken walls, like the voices of the dead. Then they found something strange. Tracks in the snow, not from the storm, but fresh. Boot prints, many of them, leading toward the old meeting hall. The soldier raised his weapon, his body tense. "Someone is here," he whispered. The mother's heart jumped. Could it be survivors? Her people still alive? She rushed forward, hope burning in her chest. The soldier followed, his eyes cold, his steps careful. When they reached the hall, they saw the truth. A group of survivors huddled around a fire, their faces pale, their bodies weak but alive. The mother cried out in joy, "My people!" She ran to them, clutching her child. The survivors lifted their heads, their eyes wide. At first they embraced her, tears flowing. But then silence fell. Their eyes turned not to her, but to the child glowing faintly in her arms. The soldier noticed, his hand tightening on his weapon. The survivors exchanged looks, whispers passing quickly. One of them stepped forward, an elder with scarred skin. His voice was rough, his words heavy. "You should not have brought him here." The mother froze, her joy turning to fear. "What do you mean?" she asked, trembling. The elder's eyes burned with sorrow and anger. "They came because of him. The soldiers, the fire, the death, all because of that child." His finger pointed at the baby, glowing softly under the cloth. The mother shook her head, tears spilling. "No, he is innocent. He is our hope, not our curse." But others began to speak, their voices sharp. "They will never stop hunting while he lives. He should not have been born. He will bring only more death." Their words stabbed into her heart like knives. The soldier stepped between them, his voice cold as steel. "Enough," he said, his weapon raised slightly. "He is not your enemy, he is your future. And if you cannot see that, then you are blind." His eyes burned with fire, his voice carried weight. The survivors grew silent, but their stares remained hard. The mother begged, "Please, he is all I have left. Do not turn against us." But the elder spoke again, his voice heavy with regret. "We have lost too much. We cannot fight forever. If giving him to them saves us, then so be it." The words shattered her soul. Betrayal filled the air like poison. The soldier's body stiffened, rage rising inside him. He growled, "You would hand over a child to the monsters who burned your homes." His voice thundered in the broken hall. The survivors lowered their eyes, some ashamed, others stubborn. The fire crackled between them, shadows dancing on their faces. The mother held her baby tighter. She whispered the lullaby, her voice trembling but strong. The glow brightened, wrapping around her and the child. The survivors stepped back, fear flickering in their eyes. They had seen this light before, and it reminded them of the night their village burned. The soldier looked at the mother, then at the crowd, his jaw clenched, his choice clear. "We leave now," he said, his voice final. He helped her to her feet, leading her away from the fire. The survivors did not stop them, but their silence was heavy as stone. As they left the ruins, the mother wept quietly. Her people had turned against her. Fear had poisoned their hearts. The soldier walked beside her, his eyes forward, his step strong. He muttered, "Fear makes men weak, but we will not be weak." His words gave her a small spark of strength, but the danger was not gone. In the distance, horns sounded, sharp and cruel. The enemy was near again, drawn by the glow. The mother wiped her tears, clutching her child. The soldier raised his weapon, fire in his eyes. They walked into the storm once more. Behind them lay betrayal, before them lay danger. But together, they carried something stronger than both. The baby's glow pulsed in the night, a small flame against the dark, and the soldier swore to himself that flame would not die. The storm had not ended, but their hearts were heavier than the snow. The alien mother walked with tears frozen on her face. Her people had turned against her, calling her child a curse. Yet in her arms, the baby still glowed softly, his breath steady, his warmth alive. That glow was no curse, it was life. The human soldier walked ahead, his steps strong, his weapon always ready. His eyes searched the white horizon for danger, but deep inside, he carried something new, a reason to keep moving, a reason to keep fighting, not for himself, but for the fragile life they carried together. The night stretched long, but then, through the snow, a shape appeared, a mountain rising higher than the rest, its peak sharp against the storm. The mother gasped softly, her eyes wide. "There," she whispered, "they say to fall. Here is a safe haven, hidden in the mountain, a place the enemy cannot reach." Her voice carried hope, but also fear of disappointment. The soldier studied the mountain, his jaw tight. "If such a place is real, then we will find it," he said. The mother nodded, holding her baby close. The child stirred, his glow brightening, as if guiding them. The soldier noticed and muttered, "He wants us to go there." They pushed through the snow, hour after hour. The storm seemed endless, but the glow gave them strength. Sometimes the mother sang softly, her lullaby carrying on the wind. The song was weak, but every time she sang, the baby grew calmer. The soldier listened in silence, the strange melody echoing in his chest. But the enemy was not far. Their horns echoed through the valley, their machines crawling like shadows in the snow. The soldier saw lights in the distance, red and cruel. "They are still hunting," he said coldly. "They will never stop." The mother trembled, but she did not stop walking. At dawn, they reached a frozen river. The ice cracked under their steps, sharp sounds cutting the silence. The soldier crossed first, carrying the baby carefully. The mother followed, her eyes wide with fear. Beneath the ice, dark water roared, ready to swallow them. Halfway across, enemy fire lit the air. Blasts of red cut through the storm, striking the ice. The river shook, cracks spreading under their feet. The soldier shouted, "Run!" his voice like thunder. He sprinted forward, the mother close behind. The ice gave way, chunks falling into the water. The soldier leapt to the far bank, pulling the mother up with his free hand. The baby cried, glowing brighter. The glow spread across the river, freezing the cracks, holding the ice firm. The mother gasped, her eyes wide. "It was him," she whispered. "He saved us." The soldier looked at the baby, stunned. For the first time, he truly believed the child was more than hope. He was power, pure and untamed. The soldier whispered, "Then we must protect him no matter what." The mother nodded, her tears shining with new strength. They moved on, climbing the lower slopes of the mountain. The path was steep, covered in snow and broken stone. The soldier carried both mother and child when she stumbled. His strength seemed endless, though his body bled from old wounds. Still, he refused to fall. By nightfall, they reached a narrow pass. Inside, they found carvings on the rocks, glowing faintly in the dark. Symbols older than memory, shining like the baby's light. The mother touched them, her voice soft. "These are the marks of my ancestors. This is the way to the haven." The soldier studied the symbols. "They are the same as the light in him," he said. The mother nodded, whispering, "He was meant to come here." Her heart beat faster, hope burning bright. But before they could move forward, the sound of machines echoed behind them. Enemy crawlers rolled into the pass, their lights cutting through the storm. The ground shook under their weight, their weapons glowing. The soldier cursed under his breath, raising his weapon. "They are too many," he said, his voice grim. The mother clutched her baby, fear gripping her chest. The child's glow grew stronger, pulsing like a star. The mother began to sing again, her lullaby trembling but powerful. The symbols on the walls answered, glowing brighter. The air hummed, the ground shook. The soldier stared in awe, realizing the mountain itself was waking. The enemy fired, red beams crashing against invisible walls of light. The lullaby rose higher, filling the pass. The glow spread across the stones, forming a barrier between them and the enemy. The machines roared, weapons blasting, but the light held. The soldier shouted, "It is working! Keep singing!" The mother's voice cracked, her body weak, but she kept singing, tears running down her cheeks. The child's glow flared, stronger than ever. The enemy was forced back, blinded by the brilliance. Their horns sounded retreat, fading into the storm. Silence returned, broken only by the mother's sobs. The soldier lowered his weapon, staring at the glowing walls. The pass was alive with light, guiding them deeper into the mountain. The mother whispered, "He is the key. He is leading us to safety." Her voice carried both fear and wonder. They followed the glowing path. The baby calmed, his light dimming to a gentle pulse. The soldier carried them forward, his eyes filled with determination. For the first time since his own world had fallen, he felt something he thought was lost. He felt hope. But in the shadows beyond the light, dark shapes moved. The enemy had not given up. They had seen the child's power, and they would gather their full force. The soldier knew the final battle was coming, and as he looked at the mother and child, he swore again, "I will not let them take you." The mountain pass glowed with ancient light. The mother held her baby close, his chest pulsing with gentle brightness. The soldier stood ahead, weapon raised, his eyes sharp and steady. They had escaped so many times, but both knew this was the end of running. The enemy was gathering, their full army pressing through the storm. Horns echoed across the valley, deep and cruel. The ground shook with machines crawling forward. Red lights filled the snow like a swarm of burning eyes. The soldier clenched his jaw, his body tense. He whispered, "They will come with everything they have, and we will stand here." The mother trembled, fear in her eyes. "But how can we fight them all?" she asked. The soldier looked back at her, his gaze firm. "Because humans never stop fighting, even when the odds are impossible," he said. His voice carried strength, sharp as iron. The baby stirred, his glow brightening. The mother began to hum the lullaby, her voice soft and shaking. The light grew stronger, filling the pass, the ancient carvings on the walls flared with the same glow. It was as if the mountain itself was alive, waiting. The enemy marched into view, hundreds of soldiers in dark armor, machines rolling behind them, weapons ready. Their commander stepped forward, tall and cruel, his mask glowing red. He raised his hand and shouted, "Give us the child and we will let you die quickly." His voice was like thunder, filled with hate. The mother held her baby tighter, her tears shining in the glow. The soldier stepped forward, placing himself between her and the enemy. His weapon shook in his hands, not from fear, but from the weight of choice. He shouted back, "If you want him, you will have to walk over me first." The storm howled, carrying his words across the valley. The commander laughed, a sound sharp and cold. "Then you will die, human," he said. With a wave of his hand, the army advanced, weapons firing red beams. The snow lit up with fire, the ground exploding around them. But the soldier did not move. He stood firm. The mother sang louder, her voice breaking but strong. The baby's glow burst like a star. A wall of light rose before them, shielding them from the blasts. The enemy's fire bent and scattered, striking back at their own machines. The commander roared in rage. The soldier charged forward, firing his weapon. Every shot struck true. Every step was fire and steel. He moved with the fury of a man who had lost everything, but who had found something worth dying for. The mother watched, her voice never stopping, her song filling the air. The baby cried, not in fear but in power. His glow spread farther, shaking the mountain. The carvings flared brighter, beams of light racing through the stone. The ground split, the air hummed, the enemy stumbled, their machines failing. The commander pushed forward, his sword blazing red. He cut through the storm, his eyes burning with hate. He struck at the soldier, their weapons clashing, steel against fire, flesh against fury. The battle echoed like thunder in the narrow pass. The soldier fought with all he had. Every strike was fueled by pain and memory. He thought of his fallen team, his broken world, but now he fought not for revenge, but for hope. The mother and child behind him, their song and light giving him strength. The commander was powerful, but the soldier did not yield. He was cut, his blood staining the snow. Still he stood, his body screaming but his spirit unbroken. He shouted with his last strength, "Humans never give up." His voice shook the air. The baby's glow burst once more, brighter than the sun. The lullaby reached its peak, the mother's voice soaring through the storm. The enemy army froze, blinded by the light. The machines cracked, their fire dying, their engines falling silent. The commander screamed, consumed by the brilliance. The mountain shook, light exploding across the valley. Snow melted, wind roared, shadows vanished. When the light faded, silence filled the air. The enemy was gone, their army broken, their commander nothing but dust. Only the storm remained, gentle now, no longer cruel. The soldier fell to one knee, his chest heaving, his body broken. The mother rushed to him, holding the baby close. "You saved us," she whispered, tears running down her face. The soldier smiled weakly. blood on his lips. "No," he said softly. "He saved us. I only stood long enough for him to shine." The baby rested quietly, his glow dim, but peaceful. The mother kissed his forehead, whispering her song once more. The soldier leaned against the stone, looking at them. For the first time in years, he felt warmth in his chest. Hope. The storm cleared, the first rays of dawn breaking through the clouds. The mountains shone with light, the carvings glowing gently. The mother stood, holding her child, the soldier beside her. They had survived, not because of strength alone, but because they had refused to give up. The soldier looked at the child, his voice a whisper. "He will grow, he will lead, and the world will remember." The mother nodded, her eyes bright with tears and love. Together they walked deeper into the mountain, leaving the battlefield behind. And in the endless snow, a new legend was born. A story of a mother, a soldier, and a child who glowed with hope. A story of survival, of trust, of defiance against darkness. And above all, a story that proved one truth, that humans, even alone in the coldest dark, never give up.